What's up, team? Welcome back. I am your host, Justin Dower of Spectrum Real Estate Consultants team at Keller Williams here in Lincoln, Rhode Island. We are looking at today how to use online tools in preparing for your showings. And suffice it to say that obviously in today's ridiculously fast-paced world real estate market, and the fact that we are accountable to one another 24 hours because we have communication resting in our pockets, makes it so that you must use online tools. You don't have a choice. To become streamlined in scheduling, getting back to people on their inquiries and requests for information, and also getting feedback logged somewhere where you can reference it later on so you can make changes. You know, if you find that all the people wandering through your home really hate that purple bedroom that your daughter made you paint to her liking, maybe paint it before the next showings come around so people don't have that feedback, and maybe get across the finish line, get an offer that you like. So let's dive in a little bit now. There's going to be a bit of good news and a bit of bad news here because you ain't need no stinking realtor to sell your house. You are not going to have access to the all-encompassing scheduling platforms that we realtors have access to that are tied directly to the MLS. These are far and away the most used platforms by buyers agents, of course. They are accustomed to using the MLS to schedule their customers, their clients for showings, and that's where they're going to look primarily. Now, if you have elected to do an entry-only listing, see previous episodes for more explanation on that. Whichever realtor you've used to enter your listing for you into the MLS may be able to give you some limited access to those scheduling platforms, but they're not going to manage them for you, and that's really what it takes. When we have listing on these platforms, we get automatic alerts when somebody's inquired, both by text and email. No matter what you do, you're not going to get those. You're going to have to be logging in and checking them. Now, some of the good news is that, as we discussed again in previous episodes, some of these third-party advertising websites, the Zillows, the Trulias, yada yada, may have some inherent and exclusive online scheduling functionality that you can make use of. Bad news again with that is that you're going to have to log into each one of these websites to manage those individual platforms and try to get a grip on who is inquiring about your house in that period of time before you start your showings after you've published your marketing. Now, good news there as well, I suppose. You will be in full control of your scheduling and be able to tailor your scheduling to when you're available, when you would like to be showing your home. Now, again, looking through the lens of somebody who wants to sell their home for top dollar, you better be as available as you possibly can be with your showing slots. And you need to be as available as you possibly can be with your ability to answer inquiries and requests for information in a timely fashion, or you're just going to get left behind. People are moving as fast as they possibly can, warp speed, to getting into these listings for sale because it's so competitive for buyers. Speed to lead is the name of the game, and if they're not on top of this new home for sale immediately, getting in to see it as soon as humanly possible, these buyers know that they're potentially going to miss the boat, and they're going to leave you behind. They're going to just move on to the next property and maybe be in contract to buy that property by the time you've even answered their inquiry 3 days later. So you need to be organized. Now, keeping track of each person who comes, when their inquiry was made, what their contact information is, did they actually show up for the showing, and what their feedback might be is crucially important. We mentioned that a few times in the intro and in previous videos. Reason being, imagine a world where you've done your marketing very well, you've got a deluge of people coming to see your home, you perform your first showings, but you've not logged anybody who's come. You don't know their names, their contact information. You don't know if they showed up, and you don't have any feedback from them. Or even maybe you did do it, but you weren't as organized as you wanted to be, and you couldn't get everybody's name written down, et cetera, et cetera. In that world, maybe you've received a few offers. Maybe you're happy with one of those offers, but you failed to write down the contact information and the exuberant feedback of one Jack and Jill buyer who you were almost certain were going to be making an above asking price offer. And because you didn't get it written down, you're ready to accept one of these other offers that, frankly, you may like, but it's not as high as it possibly could be. And why leave money on the table? So maybe you can make use of, and here's a little bit of alpha, there are lots of different scheduling platforms out there. There are paid apps you can use. I mean, heck, you could just get the Gmail calendar out and try to send people links for that and stay organized by only issuing this link to people who inquire, so that the only way they can request a showing is by, grabbing a potential open block of time off of your availabilities list in that Google Calendar. I mean, there's lots of ways to go about this, but because you don't need no stinking realtor, it's up to you to figure out which way is going to work best for you. And in our opinion, it's best to put the onus on the buyer's agents or the buyers themselves insofar as being adherent to whatever instructions you give. Make sure it's explicit in the listing information. Hey, I'm not going to answer phone calls. I'm not answering emails. Here is my contact information for a later date. But the only way you get to schedule showings and request information is by following this link. I will not honor any other methods of communication. Now, there is a level of diplomacy involved here. Again, we talk about the human element. Not everybody is as tech savvy as everybody else, and you may get some dinosaur Q-tip buyers or buyer's agents that simply don't know how to follow listing instructions and will be calling you anyway because the first thing they saw was a phone number, and that's just how they operate because they're from a bygone era. Picking up the phone, being annoyed that somebody called and telling them, hey, can't you read and follow the listing instructions, and hanging up on them is not going to get you the best dollar for your sale, and that is what we ultimately want. So be diplomatic. There may be a bunch, not maybe, there will certainly be, if we're using our experience as professional realtors as a barometer, you're going to do a lot of hand-holding, especially if you are using a third-party platform that the wider buying public and buying agent public is not accustomed to using. You're going to have to walk them through of getting accustomed to it and how to use it so they're using it effectively so you can be effective. You get the idea. Now, we've gone through most of the talking points here. It's obvious that this stuff is critical, but I want you to really, really focus in on being detail-oriented with people's feedback, with making sure you know who is at your property and who is not. Now, a very common and misconceived solution to this problem, we've all heard it, the open house. This is an old way to sell property, folks, and frankly, it's a poor way to sell property. The only reason that open houses still take place is because either yourself or the listing professional that you've hired, your realtor, is not available enough. They do not have the time to properly showcase a home for sale and conduct showings. Let's unpack that a little bit. Why do open houses suck, for lack of a better word? Let's see it from the perspective of the seller. Now, you've done your marketing correctly, onslaught of inquiries. You have only 2 hours this weekend where you're really going to be available. You have other stuff going on, family commitments, your own job. So you've published in your listing information that there's an open house from 11 to 1 on a Saturday, and shucks, it's pouring rain out. Couldn't really accommodate that. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it, but now you've got, let's say, 20 to 50 different parties, not people, but parties who are going to want to enter your home with all kinds of mud on their shoes. Yeah, let's do booties. Let's do take your shoes off at the door. Fine. It is what it is. Is everybody going to accommodate you? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to be standing at the door to receive every one of these 20 to 50 parties? If you are, maybe you get them to take their shoes off. If you're not answering questions. You're not making sure these people aren't going through your bedroom nightstand drawer to take out your valuables. By the way, if you're hosting open houses on your own, you better make sure to put up everything valuable in a safe or somewhere where people can access it. Not every home is created equal. Maybe some homes for sale aren't in a neighborhood that would attract such people. However, if you're in a nice neighborhood, maybe some people come from somewhere else to an open house hoping that it's very poorly attended by people who care and might be coming with the intention to do such types of things. Anyway, you get that idea. Now let's look at it from the buyer's perspective. Really competitive buyer's market out there, and man, when you are on the receiving end of losing offer after offer, and now this is your 6th time that you've come to a place for sale, you're hoping to buy, you love this place, you're hoping to make an offer and win the bid, and you arrive there, and this place is crawling with potential buyers. There's people out on the lawn, there's people on the back lawn, the place is just absolutely chock full. There's a line forming out front of the door because not everybody can physically even fit in the house. If you've lost 6 bids already, you get in that house? Do you think you're going to win that bid? Might you turn around on a heel and just throw your hands up like, I just can't take it anymore, I'm never going to win a bid here? Maybe that was the right buyer and you just lost them because of mismanagement. We want to meter the showing experience. We don't want everybody crowded in your home at once. Now, The one good thing about an open house, especially in a market like this, is it's going to demonstrate desirability for your home. Tons of people want to come and look at it. Tons of people might be potential buyers. It really ramps up the desirability factor of your home and forces people to observe that, this house is going to go quickly. I better get my best foot forward and get an offer out quick. But on the other hand, you get 20 people in your kitchen at the same time, the walls start closing in, your house looks a lot smaller than it is. Hell, even a 3,500 square foot house starts looking small when there's 50 parties of people all jammed in there in the same 2 hours. No good. Not only that, let's take it from a real estate professional's point of view, which you are trying to become. I want to be very, very verbose, let's call it. I want to chat people up to get information out of them. Yes, I want to be available to them to answer their questions, but I want to drive the conversation in particular directions to find out why they're buying a home. Is this the absolute maximum of their budget, or maybe they're looking for a home of a higher value and they're just, being reasonable? Are you able to go over asking price if that's really what it's going to take? I'm asking maybe innocuous questions in the interpretation of somebody I'm talking to from the buyer side, but I'm writing all this information down. And if that particular buyer responds to my questions in a favorable manner and then makes a lower than asking price offer, we can dig our heels in and see what kind of juice we can squeeze out of that piece of fruit, right? And in the reverse, you really need to be available to answer people's questions. If a buyer leaves a home with any doubt about this or that building system, infrastructure, the age of the roof, yada, yada, whatever it might be, generally speaking, it's going to take an answer to that question before that buyer is satisfied in making an offer. And if you recall the methodology from previous episodes, we want all of the buyers all at the same time to make their offers within a certain period of time of one another so we can leverage them against one another. Doesn't mean we want them all in the house at the same time though. So what's the answer? The answer is you got to be conducting showings at your home probably all weekend, probably 6 to 8 hours a day. And you want to allow 15 to 20 minute showing blocks between each customer's appointment, knowing that it will certainly or at least most likely take beyond 15 or 20 minutes for each buying party to walk through the home, be satisfied that they've seen everything and leave. And what that does is cause a small line to be formed. It causes a small number of people to be out on the lawn, still driving that desirability factor, still letting people know that the house is really competitive, that you really got to get your offer out there soon, but still allowing all of the other concepts that we just touched on to unfold and allowing you to stay in control of all of them. Now, as we've noted many times in the past, if this all seems like a daunting task, it's because it is, and that's why people hire realtors. It's generally speaking, not within anybody's ability to spend this kind of time on a property sale. All of the different work we've talked about already leading up to this point, and now you're actually conducting the showings. You got to spend, literally an entire working day, both days on a weekend. And of course, we're not going to get all of the buyers in on that first weekend or the second weekend. You need to make yourself very available during the week as well, because there are folks out there just like you maybe that don't have the weekend available to be doing that, to be doing anything. Maybe you work on the weekends. There's lots of different professions out there that preclude folks from going and shopping real estate on weekends. So you need to make time available during the week as well. You heard the word, I said it about 1 million times, available. You need to be present and at the disposal of the buying public and the buyer's agent public if you really want to hit the mark and extract every last dollar out of your sale. All right, I hope I've not bored you to tears with this particular concept. In the next episode, we're going to move on to effective communication with the buyers and the buyer's agents leading up to those first showings. We'll see you there.